So I'm going to get started on on how to grow spiritually, and I've prepared um, a number of principles that I'm going to talk about on how to grow spiritually. The first one is called progressive overload principle. So the principle of progressive overload. Uh, if you haven't visited my first video, I was talking about that there's a principle out there that if you want to grow physically, let's say as a bodybuilder, if you are lifting weights and you want to push for more, you will grow in the same way physically as you do spiritually, and the same strategy can work for both. They are very, very parallel. And so, if you know how to build up your muscles by putting more and more weights. That's what the overload is talking about. So 50 kilo, maybe this week. Next week, you can do 55 kilo. And then the week after that, you can work on maybe 58 kilos. And eventually, if you're like me, you should be able to lift like 65 kg. Uh, so so for bigger people, I know that's not a big issue. 50 kg, 65 kg, they're going to probably go for something like 100. But anyway, uh, for someone that's bigger in size, they will be able to lift a lot more. So it really depends on who you are and who you're working with um, as a coach. So this principle of progressive overload also works spiritually. So if you're faced with a problem or a challenge and you're able to take it on, then the next time it'll be easier. So every challenge or every problem that you are faced with, uh, it'll become easier and easier if you're able to manage them in a way that makes you stronger, and you'll be able to take on more problems and more responsibilities. So this is what the principle of progressive overload is talking about. And I'm going to go to John 15. um, it says, I am the true vine. I read this last time. And my Father is the gardener. Every branch in me that does not produce fruit, he removes, and he prunes every branch that produces fruit so that it will produce more fruit. So in verse 2, we see uh, that God is the gardener, God the Father, and Jesus is the true vine, and we are the branches. And if we remain in Him, He will prune us. It says in verse 2, He prunes every branch that produces fruit, so that it will produce more fruit. So, in order to become more fruitful, Jesus or the gardener will clip away and prune, remove stuff that is non essential, unnecessary, dead weight, dead branches, so that you can produce more fruit. Now, one of the things that Curry Blake mentions, I watch him, and you can also get his videos about spiritual growth. But one of the things I learned is that uh, for for Christians not bearing fruit, and a lot of times we get into sin and into the flesh, is because we don't respond properly to the things that are attacking us, our five senses. So emotionally, we get attacked if someone says, let's say a boss says something really nasty and makes us feel horrible. Uh, then that is getting into the flesh, getting emotional and responding and reacting. We can yell back, or get into argument with your wife. Your spouse might say something like, why are you leaving this dirty stuff over here? I got to pick it up every single time. I'm sick and tired of this. Don't do it again. And that might just spark some kind of reaction in you. You hit the hot button. So And you might yell back and scream back, and that is not what we're talking about in terms of bearing fruit. We want the fruit of righteousness. We want the fruit to bear the fruit of godliness. And responding emotionally will not uh, be a productive, uh, will build a productive relationship with your spouse. So, uh, so I'm talking about just being in a situation where you can remain calm, cool, and collected. Just pull yourself away from that situation where the words do not inflame and make you get angry and upset. So those are moments where Kerry Blake was a police officer, and one of the things he learned with his father, actually his father was a police officer before he became uh, uh, involved with law enforcement. But one of the things he learned was when there's a wreck, when there's a car wreck, and people are just completely out of it. You know, if you're involved in a car accident, you're not in your right mind, and people are screaming, they're looking at blood, and they're just running, just mad. And Curry Blake remembers seeing his father just staying cool, calm, and collected, and just removing himself from that situation emotionally, not getting involved at all, just being completely detached from the drama that's unfolding before your eyes, where there's blood and there's just massive destruction, and getting in there and doing what's necessary. If you're not detached emotionally, you will not be able to perform the task of saving lives. A firefighter is the same thing. You know, if he gets squeamish and gets emotionally involved, he's not going to be able to save lives very well. You know, he's going to say, "Oh, there's fire," he runs away. No, he has to go in there and save the baby that's in the fire. So we really remember that. You know, I don't know what your issue in life is. If you're an emotional person, you might not be able to do that very well. But that's something that we need to learn. And whatever challenges you are facing, um, this is something that will really help us to be spiritually mature, to really be able to help someone else that's in a situation where is unpleasant, a situation that's very uncomfortable. Learn how to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, because life throws us a lot of situations and circumstances that are uncomfortable, and we need to bear it and also help other people solve problems. So um, I think I'm going to stop here, and we're going to talk more about progressive overload next time. God bless you, and we'll see you next time.